This is the final step in the cost report desk review automation process I've been working through in a few videos using OpenAI's coding agent named Codex. In two earlier videos, I used Codex to extract data from a folder of spreadsheets. I saved it into a database and performed very simple testing procedures on that salary data in the database. In this step, I'm going to be turning that desk review data into reimbursement packets. And that is basically a summary of the reimbursement calculation that this fake program is performing, and then a list of the findings that were identified during the desk review procedures. Just to remind you, this is the process that we are automating. It is the full pipeline between districts submitting cost reports and performing analysis, extracting that data, analyzing that data, performing tests on that data, and then we're going to be performing the reimbursement calculation and have that data back ready to send back to the district. Just to remind you, what Codex is a coding agent that you can access in the terminal application on your computer. The terminal application is something that comes on all computers. I've done other video about explaining more about terminal and using Codex and terminal. It is a very, very, very powerful tool for any kind of automation process. And the really powerful thing about it is it writes files to your computer. And this is useful because we can give it fake data that resembles our real data and take it to our own environment and run it securely. The overall idea is the same I've worked through in each video. That is being very specific with what we need, giving it detailed prompts about the problems we needed to solve for us. I created two templates for this example. The first one here is just a fake reimbursement letter, and it has our fake state agency, our program department as the letterhead. And what you'll notice here is I am using placeholders here that mimic the values in the database. So as a part of doing the desk review process, we came up with values that were the calculations that we did during our desk review. And so I'm just filling those in here. It's the current date, the district contact that submitted the data to us, the name of the district, the fiscal year, and then all of our values. The second template I have here is the findings template, and that is also going to list the district name, and it's going to list if any findings are identified. And there is a little extra code here. This is code that allows that is going to allow the Python code to either add the findings here if they were identified for each district, and if it did not find anything, the else here in this function is to say no findings identified. So these are going to be our two templates that we want filled in, and our prompt is going to say what fields need to go where. All right, here's the prompt. I'm telling it exactly where the database is. I'm telling it what is in that database, and I am pointing it to a more detailed file that describes the database schema. I'm telling it the tables in that database it's going to need to use, and I'm also telling it where those templates are living. I also told it that the templates are using the Jinja style placeholders, which is where the database fields are going to go. I'm explaining in the prompt what the goal is in a step-by-step process. We want to read the district data in the database. We want to aggregate it per district. We want to fill in the Word templates. We want to convert those to PDFs, and we want to save that output in a way that makes it easy to send to the district. The rest of the prompt includes all of the fields that we have in our template that we need filled out. I'm doing that per file. So these are the fields for the summary letter. These are the fields for the findings listing. I'm telling it exactly how I want the structure. So I want a reports folder. I want a folder with the district name, and then I want a PDF and Word version of each of those files once they're filled out. I added some constraints here about not modifying the template or the formatting, talking about decimal values, and saying if the district has no findings, it should say no findings, just reminding it about that. And then I have some other notes here about the libraries to use for filling out the Word documents, and some other notes here about just making sure the code is modular, and it can be run through the terminal again if I need to. All right, now we're ready to run the prompt, and that means I'm ready to start up Codex. So you can see I'm in the program management folder. This is where everything is saved so far. I'll type Codex. And I'm going to paste the prompt in. And one thing I wanted to reiterate here is what I'm trying to do is narrow the lane for the agent to operate in. I'm telling exactly where is the data I need manipulated, and I'm telling exactly where it needs to go. I'm breaking the prompt down step by step, and so let's see how it does. So you can see it always starts out by just reading files and coming up with plans, and then it just runs through that plan until it has completed everything. So it looks like it's added a new file for us in the folder, and that is going to be a generate reports file. And you can see all this green text here is the code that it wrote. And it is just now it's still going through its plan. All right, so it's finished its work, and it gave us a summary that it added a reports Python script. It wires together the district aggregation and templating into a CLI entry point, and it gives us the details about the currency formatting, the per district metrics. It added template helpers that render the Word file, talks about using the placeholders, and then it talks about having an orchestration function that it added to validate the paths, create the folders, and then fill in those folders with our files. It gave us next steps here, which are to install 2 libraries. So I've already done that. And then run this script. So we will try that now. You can see I'm in VS Code now. I'm in the program management folder in the terminal here. All right, so that code ran, and I had to allow some permissions on my computer, but it looks like everything processed successfully. So you can see in green here, we have this reports folder that was created by that Python script. It includes another folder for each district that we had in our database. And you can see it has a desk review findings file and a desk review letter file. So let's open up that in each format. Looks like it was able to keep our template-based state agency, the letterhead. It filled in the contact, who's the person who submitted the data to us. It looks like it correctly filled in the district, the fiscal years, and it looks like it was able to calculate the total reimbursement from the database data. We'll look at the findings next. And notice an interesting thing about this. So one thing we asked it to do was if there were no findings, to print the no findings. And it looks like for our code here, it included it regardless of if there were any findings. So that's why it says 0 of 4 here. So we'll ask it to fix that on the next go around. Let's look at the Monroe letter. It looks like it filled it out correctly as well. Lists the district name, the fiscal year, the different position that submitted the data to us, and it has different amounts calculated for the reimbursements. We'll look at the findings. And it looks like, so I know because I reviewed this data that on this one they did have a finding for one employee, but they should not have this finding here. So it also, we know we have an issue with the first finding, and now we have an issue for the second finding. So I'm gonna write a new prompt and try to get Codex to fix that. All right, and now in this step, we are going to ask Codex to fix something in the code for us. Specifically, we want to make sure that the findings are only printed out if there are errors. And so what I did is I went back to our database schema. I identified the fields that I want to make sure that the code checks to see if there are findings, and I'm going to ask it to fix it. And so specifically here, I said, can you review the code that fills in the findings? For number 1, it should only print out if this database value is greater than 0. For finding 2, it should only print out if the finding flag for 2 is true. So let's let it fix that issue for us. All right, so it looks like it's finished, and it's telling us to run this again. So I'm going to go back to VS Code, and I'm going to run that script again. And so what this code is doing is as it's going through its report creation process, it's opening Word and saving those files for us. And it looks like it's ran again. And so let's check those. Let's check that again. So I know Monroe did not have the healthcare percentage finding. Let's see here. And it's gone. That's really cool. So Codex was able to take my feedback on its initial output and iterate on that and fix that. And I know the formatting here is a little weird, and so I'm sure if we wanted to go in more videos, we could address that as well. Let's look at the letter again. Nothing changed. Here's the letter. You can see nothing changed in there. Let's go back to Baton Rouge findings. And you can see here, you can see it doesn't list the 0 out of 4 anymore. It was able to take care of the issue with the first finding as well. And lastly here, this is the code that it generated. So this is the generate reports Python script. And you can see these are all the functions it created. About 250 lines of code. To fill in that data for us. So just wanted to take a second to kind of highlight what we've done here. We started with a folder of template-based spreadsheets that mimic real-world cost report data. I've worked in programs that use spreadsheets very similar to these. And using Codex and just a few prompts, we built an extraction, validation, desk review pipeline. And now with this last step, we have a reporting process included in that as well. And we've automated all of that with just the $20 a month ChatGPT subscription. One thing that became clear throughout this project is how much these tools can accomplish with careful planning and the right direction and feedback process. I really taped this walkthrough to demonstrate how easy it is to build an automation pipeline that really can take care of significant amounts of work that I've led entire teams to accomplish before. This would allow me or any organization who went through these steps to use this code securely in their own environment once it has been created. So I appreciate you watching this. If you stuck around this long, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions, but I think this is a very impressive use of these tools, and I think we will see a lot more things automated in the future.